yeah, we want retribution. Oh yeah, we want retribution. Oh yeah, we want retribution. Yeah, we ran out of patience for your love with the cold hard hatred. I could feel the vibration, feet in the streets, it's a new sensation. I wanna break faces on the pavement. I wanna make greatness look complacent. Adrenaline awakened, I can taste it. We can make an impact, grab and then take it. Like a disease, bring them to their knees. Thanks for their disease. Just like a weed. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm the one and only DJ Storms, and I would like to welcome each and every single one of you here to a very special edition Thursday stream. We are streaming live on 4 different platforms across 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different accounts. And we got a lot of good material to discuss here on this very hot and humid Thursday. Hopefully, we should be getting into some cooler weather tomorrow going into the second weekend of September. As of course, you already know who I am, Mr. Controversy, and the operator of the best damn Twitter handle known to mankind, X, formerly known as Twitter. Of course, this is the rewind for AEW All Out 2023, which of course took place last Sunday, September 3rd, from the United Center in Chicago, Illinois. And it streamed live on Bleacher Report Live and all local satellite cable providers. We got plenty to talk about. Plenty to talk about for sure. And before we get into what we're going to get into, before we get into the festivities here, a couple of self-brand promotion and advertisements we must get through. Obviously, you need to make sure, if you're not already doing so, follow me on X and Instagram at HistoryMakerDJS. One more time, that is at HistoryMakerDJS, both on X and Instagram. It is very, very vital that you follow me there. You can add my personal Facebook as well for collaborations and business inquiries. Please send me an email. My email is, of course, StormsTakeOver@gmail.com. Like the official DJ Storms business page, and I may just send you an invite to join the official DJ Storms Posse group on Facebook. That is, we're actually live on the Posse group and on the DJ Storms business page. We're also live on my YouTube channel, the Hardcore Sports YouTube channel, Hardcore Sports Twitch, Hardcore Sports Twitter, and my Twitter. We got a nice wide outreach today for the rewind. Obviously, I am catching up on the time that I missed because I was at my cousin's wedding in North Kakalaka. And I had a fun time over there. I actually want to go back. I want to go back to the driving range. It was a fun time over at the driving range down in North Carolina, to say the least. And I see that Dee Dee is also in the chat. She's actually in Virginia. I actually stopped in Virginia a couple times. Me and my family, we stopped in Virginia to get some gas on the way down to North Carolina and on the way coming home. I see that you are about to go to dinner as well. Please make sure you share out the stream before you go to dinner, Dee Dee, okay? Share out the stream on all social media platforms. Like the stream no matter where you're watching it from, whether it be on Facebook, YouTube, X, or Twitch. And of course, share it out on all platforms, social media, X, Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, Tumblr, Snapchat, TikTok, whatever social media platforms that you may be using. It's incredibly vital that you share it out and we get a nice wide outreach. I hope you enjoy dinner, by the way, as well, Dee Dee. You're on vacation, luckily. I got to go back to work, and I'm going into the fall and winter season working my ass off, because that's what I do. I work my ass off here, and then I work my ass off in the office. So I hope that you're having a fun time on vacation, Dee Dee. Of course, got to give a shout out to my girl, Brittany K. She is awesome, Brittany K. She is a wonderful human being. Proud to call her a friend of mine. She's a big supporter of the channel, and she does handcrafted designs on her iPad. Crafted from scratch, beautiful drawings, beautiful designs of professional wrestlers, and she also does Twitter or X Abbeys and banners. So if you are in need of an X banner or an X Abby, or if you just want a beautiful design, a beautiful drawing on the iPad of a professional wrestler from any professional wrestling company, she is your girl. Go hit her up on X at BrittanyK5150, and of course hit her up on Instagram at Brittany K Designs. Shout out to PWP Nation, created by the one and only Jay Leto. Shout out to him. Jay Leto has brought me on to PWP Nation, and we have obtained over 1,000 new followers on the PWP Nation Facebook page because I am the draw. I'm the top draw in the IWC, whether you want to admit it or not. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you have not already done so, please go like and follow the PWP Nation Facebook page. The link is in the description. Also, check out the PWP Nation website if you have not already done so. It is very vital that you check those out. All the links are in the description. You can also check out the link for the rewind for WWE Payback 2023. That link is in the description as we speak. Pretty decent show that we actually got last Saturday from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I can't really complain all too much. Was not a perfect show, but it was not an embarrassment. It looked like a house show on paper, but it ended up turning out to be a very good show wrestling-wise overall. So if you want my thoughts on that, you can go check that out. The link is in the description. The LFU, my flagship show, the Lightning Flash update is, of course, on Saturday. And on Saturday, we are discussing WWE's pathetic crusade to make NXT a meaningful show, as they are now bringing in Becky Lynch to fight Tiffany Stratton next week on NXT for the NXT Women's Championship. How pathetic can they get? Trust me, it is going to get worse. I would not be surprised if Becky Lynch is the new NXT Women's Champion by the time next week's episode of NXT is over. On top of that, next Thursday, big announcement, next Thursday, me and Jay Leto are going to be teaming up once again, and we are debuting a new show for the PWP Nation fans and the DJ Storms posse. It is called World of Wrestling. World of Wrestling. It is a once-a-month stream, and we are going to discuss the hottest topics in professional wrestling. We bounce off of each other very well. We discuss pro wrestling like absolute fucking experts, and we are going to be doing this on the second Thursday of every single month. Episode 1 takes place next Thursday at 7:30 p.m. on the PWP Nation X account, the YouTube, my YouTube, and my posse group, and the DJ Storms business page, as well as the PWP Nation Facebook page. And our first major topic, CM Punk being fired by All Elite Wrestling. We are going to discuss that and so much more. Shout out to Sarah Hapka, who is currently watching me right now. One more time, like the stream on all platforms, social media, and share it out. Of course, if you're watching either on the Hardcore Sports YouTube channel or my YouTube channel, please make sure that you hit the subscribe button so that way you will be able to help me grow, and you'll be able to help the DJ Storms brand expand and get a nice wide outreach. And of course, gotta hit the notifications bell with a huge coup de grace, because that way you're gonna know whenever I pop up on YouTube. Because whenever I pop up on YouTube, oh baby, it is the best time to be on YouTube, because it's the only time that you will get to see this glorious sideburn chin strap combination and this beautiful mustache right here. You already know what time it is. Sarah Hapka, you came just in time, because we can light it up right here on Facebook, X, YouTube, and Twitch with a little mm-mm and a dash of mm-mm and a whole lot of mm-mm-mm-mm, mm-mm-mm. Because like hot, succulent steamed dumplings and perfectly crafted lo mein from Chinese restaurants, I am just so good. I'm the tastiest snack in the IWC, and everybody wants a piece of the Storms Meister. It should be of no surprise to anyone. But anyway, let me take a sip of my water. Now then, why don't we get into the festivities here? All Out! All Out. We did a lot of complaining. We did a lot of bitching. We did a lot of moaning. The build, as we have come to know with AEW pay-per-views over the course of the last year, the build for this show was pretty much non-existent, barely there. Tony Khan legitimately threw this card together on the Dynamite before the show. Tony Khan actually tried to get a package deal with All In and All Out, but he could not do it. He could not do it because it was impossible to get all the local satellite cable providers to agree on one thing. And I'd really like to hope, I'd really like to hope that he is planning on potentially moving AEW pay-per-views to a streaming service, simply because of the fact that if they are going to do All Out and All In back-to-back like this, there is no way that you're going to be able to have people pay $50 for each show. It's legitimately impossible. You just can't do that. You just can't do that. That's legitimately asking too much, no matter how good the pay-per-views really are. So in the end, if we are going to do All In and All Out as pay-per-views for AEW throughout the year, Tony Khan is either going to have to move it to a streaming service or we should move All Out to either the end of September, or if Wrestle Dream is going to become a consistent thing moving forward and Wrestle Dream is going to be their October show, then you should absolutely consider moving All Out to January. Because January, there's no pay-per-view in January for AEW. You have a wide gap in between Full Gear and Revolution. So if you want to do a pay-per-view in January, like in the middle of January, gives you a nice 2-month period to build, that would not be a single issue among any of the fans. I don't think anyone would mind that. It could still be in Chicago. You don't have to move it. Although I think they might consider moving it out of Chicago after the CM Punk firing. There was a lot of issues with AEW pay-per-views throughout the year. All Out was one of them. Pieced together last minute. The firing of CM Punk obviously put a damper on the show, and everyone was just going into this with a very, very negative mentality, no expectations whatsoever. And to be quite honest with you, I don't blame a lot of these people. I really don't blame a lot of these people, specifically because, again, it was a show that was pieced together last minute because they had All In to worry about. But in the end, I think that we can all collectively agree that when it comes to pay-per-views, Tony Khan is untouchable. When it comes to pay-per-views, Tony Khan is absolutely untouchable, and Tony Khan has absolutely blown everyone's expectations out of the water when it comes to pay-per-views. In all honesty, if we're going to be straight up here, All Out 2023 may have gone down as the best in-ring version of All Out that we've ever seen since the inception. Now, I'm not going to say it was the best All Out period. That still belongs to All Out 2021. That was an historic show. Absolutely historic show. But in terms of in-ring performances, All Out 2023 exceeded all expectations, and I'm not even going to bullshit you, it may have very well given All In a run for its money. Although I'm going to place All In above All Out just because of that crowd. That crowd in London, England was absolutely unparalleled. Easily one of the best crowds for any wrestling show all year. I see we got John Blaine and Hooligram. They decided to hop on into the stream. Thank you very much for watching. Greatly appreciate the both of you. It was not a perfect show, but when it comes to pay-per-view, Tony Khan over-delivers. He really over-delivers. We got a surprise debut. We got new champions crowned. We got some excellent pro wrestling matches. And realistically speaking, every match on this show had the right outcome as well. Every match on this show had the right outcome, and new stars were created. New stars were created here at All Out, and it made for a very, very, very enjoyable experience top to bottom, even with the presence of Ring of Honor on this show. I don't mind Ring of Honor making an appearance on AEW every now and then, but if you're going to have it appear, I would appreciate it if you give it some prestige, if you give it some focus. Now, we had the 0 Hour start off, and I'm actually going to start off on a critique here. I'm actually going to start off on a negative. Not from an in-ring perspective negative, but a negative from a booking standpoint, because we got the over-budget charity battle royal where the winner of the battle royal gets to donate $50,000 to the charity of their choosing. We had Tony Nese in there, the Mogul Embassy was in there, Commander was in there, Sean Spears was in there, Adam Page was in there, Aussie Open was in there, Darius Martin was in there, Action Andretti was in there, Daniel Garcia. So we had a lot of people in here. You want to know what the problem that I had with this was? The problem that I had is not the fact that it was a battle royal. I don't mind a battle royal. I don't mind a battle royal every now and then. But what I do mind is the fact that there was pretty much no stakes in terms of a pro wrestling perspective on the show. In terms of pro wrestling, there was nothing on the line. And yes, donating to charity is very good. I'm not going to say don't donate to charity, but at the end of the day, if you're going to do a match like a battle royal, at the end of the day, you should have stakes on the line from a wrestling perspective. Here's what I would have done. If you wanted to do the charity prize, you could have easily done the charity prize. But why didn't you make this a number one contenders match to see who was going to fight the TNT champion or the international champion? Or to make things even more unpredictable, how about you give the winner the option to choose which champion he faces? He either has the choice of facing the TNT champion or the international champion. It makes things unpredictable. It keeps people guessing. That would have been a much better scenario. From an in-ring perspective, this was not bad, but donating money to a charity is not a wrestling prize. If you're going to do a battle royal, you need to give this match stakes from a wrestling perspective. Nothing was on the line. So, Nese was eliminated first. Typical battle royal started going down the home stretch here. Serpentico was gone. Garcia was gone. Garcia, if you ask me, the best spot of the entire 0 Hour was Daniel Garcia, because Daniel Garcia, he was doing the dance as he was walking up the ramp. He was doing the sad hip thrust dance as he was moving up the ramp because he was eliminated. That right there was the best part of 0 Hour. Other than that, this was a completely skippable 0 Hour. So, in the end, it came down to Toa Leona, Brian Cage, and Adam Page. So, we had a buckshot lariat on Leona, and he was eliminated. And this brought us back to Double or Nothing 2021. And in my eyes, probably one of the most underrated matches in AEW history. Brian Cage and Adam Page. They were the final two. They went back and forth, and Adam Page ended up winning the Battle Royal with the Deadeye on the apron. And that was it. That was it. So Adam Page wins. Not a bad match, but donating money to a charity is not a wrestling prize. And at the end of the day, they donated money to the Chicago Public Education Fund. Chicago Public Education Fund. You're essentially donating money to juvenile delinquents because education in Chicago, that's an oxymoron. That place is a liberal shithole right down to the very last letter. Fuck Chicago Public Education. But again, I don't understand why you couldn't have given Hangman Page the choice of whether he wanted to fight the International Champion or the TNT Champion. Now, granted, Hangman Adam Page does have something going on going into Grand Slam. He's got Swerve Strickland. That's going to be a phenomenal match. But at the end of the day, it would have been much better if you gave this match stakes, and we would have had Hangman Page potentially, if you wanted to, he could have chosen the TNT Championship. I would have loved to have seen a Luchasaurus versus Adam Page match for the TNT Championship. That would have been excellent. That would have made Grand Slam feel more important. But then again, who am I? That was the first match on 0 Hour. Shout out to Jeremy Lewis and Raging Girl Gamer. It is wonderful to see you both in here. Greatly appreciate you both stopping by. Do not forget to like the stream and share it out on all platforms of social media because everyone needs a little dose of DJ Shizzle Dizzle. So from there, we go to a 6-woman tag. It was Hikaru Shida, Sky Blue, and Willow Nightingale. They took on Athena, Diamante, and Mercedes Martinez. And believe it or not, this was probably the best match on the 0 Hour. This was probably the best match. So, Sky Blue, she dove onto the pile of bodies on the floor. Sky Blue then became isolated early on. Sky Blue then got powerbombed by Athena. Athena's got a very nice powerbomb. We had a tag to Willow Nightingale, and she reignited her rivalry with Athena. We had a Shiranui by Diamante, Falcon Arrow by Shida. Mercedes then came in with a spider German suplex right on the neck of Sky Blue. That spider German suplex, I swear to God, one of these days, that spider German suplex is going to paralyze someone. That is probably one of the most brutal-looking German suplexes I've ever seen. So we had a cannonball by Willow, the O-Face by Athena. Shida and Athena, they went at it. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I would love if we get Hikaru Shida and Athena down the line for the Ring of Honor Women's Championship. If Shida is the woman to take the title off of Athena, I would not complain whatsoever. Shida winning the Ring of Honor Women's World Championship could very well rejuvenate her career. I'm not even lying. I would not mind that whatsoever. And she would make history. I think she would make history as the first ever woman to win the AEW Women's Championship and the Ring of Honor Women's World Championship. So if you're going to give me Shida and Athena for the women's title, you can take my money. I have no problem with that. That's a great match for Final Battle. So we had a big elbow by Shida. Willow then pounced Athena into the barricade. Willow Nightingale with a Death Valley driver on Diamante. Sky Blue came in with a Code Blue, kind of a sloppy looking Code Blue, but it was a Code Blue nonetheless. And Sky Blue gets the victory for her team. Decent little match. A decent little match right here. Probably the best match on the 0 Hour. And it was a very nice little showcase for all 6 of these women. And if anything, the biggest thing that came out of this match was Shida and Athena. I will take that match 8 times out of the week, twice on Sundays. The Acclaimed and Daddy Ass, they defended the AEW World Trios Championships for the second night in a row against Jeff Jarrett, Jay Lethal, and Satnam Singh. This was nothing more than a Rampage match on the 0 Hour pre-show. This was easily the worst match on the show, not because the match was sloppy, but it was a 6-minute match, and it was not memorable whatsoever. Not really sure how memorable you can be with a match when you only get 6 minutes. Less than that, I actually think. Less than 6 minutes. So Billy Gunn, he brought out Aubrey Edwards to be the referee. We had Karen Jarrett out there. She was throwing a fit. Max Caster was isolated before Bowens got the tag, and he lit up Jay Lethal. We had a nice super kick, tag to Daddy Ass. He got choke slammed by Satnam Singh. We had a choke slam by Singh to Bowens as well. Karen Jarrett then had the guitar. Aubrey Edwards caught her. Karen Jarrett was kicked out. And then Dennis Rodman, out of nowhere, came in and cracked the guitar over Satnam Singh's head. We had a famous sir to Jay Lethal, the arrival, and the mic drop, and that was it. It was a Rampage tag team match on a pay-per-view, easily the worst match of the night, completely forgettable. If you were only going to give these guys barely 6 minutes, not even 6 minutes, 5 minutes and 45 seconds, you shouldn't even have put them on the show. You should have given the women's match more time. That match was actually shaping up to be pretty decent, and then it just ended. Not a good 0 hour. A very, very lackluster and a very lame 0 hour. But I'm happy that the main card actually made up for it. The main show started off with Better Than You, Baby, the best act in the industry, the best storyline in the industry. MJF and Adam Cole. They took on the Dark Order for the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Championships. I know some people were saying, oh, you got to put the Hardys on there. Or, hey, let's get the Kingdom in there because it plays up to the story. I understand where you're coming from, and I would have probably have done that. I would have probably have done that too. But John Silver and Alex Reynolds, my God, they're an underrated fucking tag team. John Silver and Alex Reynolds are probably the most underappreciated tag team in the industry right now. It's easy to pick out the Judgment Day or Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn or FTR or the Young Bucks, Bullet Club Gold, Aussie Open, you name it. It's easy to pick out teams like that. But the Dark Order, they have not gotten their flowers like they really should have. John Silver and Alex Reynolds are fucking great at what they do. And this was a very, 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 very fun tag team match. Silver and Reynolds looked very good here. So the crowd was chanting kangaroo kick. MJF getting a fucking kangaroo kick over. Imagine that. So MJF toyed with Reynolds early on, but he sold the neck, selling the injury from Wembley when he got tombstoned on the announce table, and the announce table did not break. So they were selling the neck injury for MJF. Reynolds hit MJF in the back of the neck with a chair behind the referee's back. So the Dark Order starting to find that inner dark side again, that inner heel Dark Order, which I actually like. I actually think that this heel version of the Dark Order is much, much better than the babyface version. So we had Reynolds hitting MJF in the back of the neck with a steel chair behind the ref's back. Crowd booed heavily, and the officials and doctors took MJF to the back. So this was part of the match, and this was part of the story that they played into later on. Adam Cole had to go at it alone. Cole super kicked Reynolds in midair. Cole ran right into a flurry of kicks and a brain buster by John Silver for a 2. John Silver is amazing at what he does. So Evil Uno then sent Adam Cole into the post behind the referee's back. Cole came back with an Ushi-Goroshi. Cole needed to rally. He was caught with an Enziguri. We had a stunner, German suplex, bridge combo by the Dark Order, and Cole kicked out again. Dark Order then mocked MJF and Adam Cole. They shouted, double clothesline. They hit the double clothesline. Adam Cole kicked out. Reynolds, he then got the tag team title belt, and Cole, with a punt kick, stopped his momentum. He then hit a super kick on Silver. All of a sudden, you start seeing the crowd look over to the entranceway, and they start to rise up. And MJF comes walking out, holding his neck. MJF comes walking out, holding his neck. Crowd is going nuts. Adam Cole tagged in MJF. and he lit up Silver and Reynolds. Body slams on the Dark Order. Crowd is electric. We had the 10 punches in the corner. He bit Alex Reynolds in the forehead. MJF with the kangaroo kick. We had a huge punch to Evil Uno. And then Adam Cole and MJF shouted, double clothesline, tag, double clothesline connects. And Adam Cole and MJF retain the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Championships in what was a very, very fun opener to the show. They paced this match very well. It was a very old school style match. Crowd was into it. And what I loved about it is the fact that they are working very smart with MJF. They are protecting MJF in this tag team with Adam Cole. They are not overexposing MJF. Even though he's wrestling more, he is not being overexposed. Even though he's wrestling more, he is not taking as many risks as we would normally see if someone like an MJF would wrestle more. And I appreciate that. They're working very smart with MJF from an in-ring perspective. And the fact that he's defending the title at Grand Slam, it's going to be a very, very, very nice thing to see. So from there, MJF and Adam Cole, they're walking up the ramp, and all of a sudden, Samoa Joe's music hits. And Samoa Joe comes out, and as MJF was walking up the ramp, Samoa Joe shoves MJF in a callback to NXT TakeOver Brooklyn 2 when MJF was shoved by Samoa Joe when Samoa Joe was walking to the ring for his match against Shinsuke Nakamura for the NXT Championship. That was fucking great. And that was not the end of it. MJF was trying to get talked down by Adam Cole. Adam Cole was trying to calm MJF. MJF ran into the ring before Shane Taylor came out, and we got ourselves a brawl between Samoa Joe and MJF, which ended with Samoa Joe hitting a guillotine choke on MJF's neck. Security had to come out and separate the two. That right there was a very hot angle. So they came out all guns blazing. And they did not stop with AEW All Out. And that played into what happened last night on Dynamite, because we got one hell of a promo with Samoa Joe and MJF. And I will be talking about that on the LFU. And believe it or not, this is just a taste of what we're into with Samoa Joe and MJF. This should not be a one-off match. So we get the match with Shane Taylor and Samoa Joe. Decent little big man fight. Nothing over the top. The main story was clearly MJF. If anything, they would have been better if they didn't put this match on the show. It's kind of weird. Because this show did not go to 12. This show did not go to midnight. This show went to 11:49. Not for nothing. I mean, they could have given an extra 5 minutes to Samoa Joe and Shane Taylor. Just my opinion, of course. But they actually did a good job with the timing and the flow of this show. This show wrapped up at 11:49. So that's one thing I got to give Tony Khan credit for. He is learning how to manage his pay-per-views a lot better. These pay-per-views aren't going too long anymore. These pay-per-views are clocking in 10, 11 minutes before midnight. That is a good time. That is a good time, and I appreciate that. So they started out with the heavy leather, heavy punches right out of the gate, no wasted motion. Taylor with some chops. Samoa Joe with an enziguri and a big tope suicida on Shane Taylor. The fact that Samoa Joe can still do a tope suicida at his age, and he does it perfectly, that right there is a testament to how good Samoa Joe really is. So we had Shane Taylor coming in with a rope-hung stunner, and Shane Taylor came off the middle rope with a big splash. Yes, Shane Taylor flew off the middle rope with a big splash for a 2. He's actually bigger than Samoa Joe. He's actually bigger than Joe. You would not catch me dead taking a flying splash off the middle rope from Shane Taylor. So Shane Taylor and Samoa Joe traded blows back and forth. We had some stiff shots, a big knee by Joe, and then he locked in the coquina clutch very quickly, and Taylor tapped out in pretty quick fashion, and that was pretty much that. Wasn't bad. Wasn't a bad match, but again, you can't really do too much with 7 minutes they were given? Can't really do too much with 7 minutes. And the main story was MJF. MJF and that brawl with Joe kind of took away from this match. So at the end of the day, this was probably the second most skippable match, probably the second worst match on the entire, maybe the third. The Battle Royal wasn't bad, but that match was brought down by the fact that there was nothing on the line. But Samoa Joe and Shane Taylor, from a main show perspective, it was the worst match on the main show. Really nothing to go back and rewatch. Luchasaurus and Darby Allin. This was for the TNT Championship, and this was actually one of the matches that I was really looking forward to, and these two did not disappoint. This was a great match, a great David and Goliath style match, and it showcased both men's strengths, and the TNT Championship is finally back on the right track after a year and a half of just constant bullshit back and forth with Sammy Guevara and Scorpio Sky and Samoa Joe holding it for a month, and then Darby holding it for a month, and then Joe holding it for a month again. Constant back and forth, trading the championship like a hot potato. Finally, the TNT Championship feels like it's on the right track. And this was a great match with Luchasaurus and Darby Allin. So Darby, right out of the gate, went after Luchasaurus. He was not 100%, keep that in mind. So Darby was being very scrappy here. Darby was then slung into the barricade by Luchasaurus and then slung into the steel steps. And Darby selling all of these moves like he got killed. Darby was bleeding pretty early, actually. So Luchasaurus then slammed Darby face first on the steps. Darby was bleeding. Luchasaurus remained in control. Darby then with a springboard crossbody on Luchasaurus for a 2. After the springboard crossbody, Luchasaurus shut down Darby's momentum quickly. Darby then put Luchasaurus on a chair on the floor. Darby went back in the ring. He climbed up to the top rope and he delivered a swanton bomb off the top to the floor while Luchasaurus was sitting on a chair. So that was a great spot. Luchasaurus then had Darby on his shoulders in a torture rack position. Darby Allin countered that into a crucifix bomb. That got a 2. Darby then with a German suplex on his head. He was German suplexed on his head. Absolutely brutal. I legitimately thought he broke his neck. But he got back up. He's a fucking psychopath, is Darby Allin. Darby Allin then with a suicide dive on Christian Cage. Back in the ring, Darby Allin with an avalanche code red on Luchasaurus for 2. Christian then hit Nick Wayne with a chair. Darby Allin saw it, and Christian Cage threatened to give Nick Wayne a concerto unless Darby Allin stopped him. Luchasaurus then took advantage. He delivered a tombstone. He held on. He delivered a second tombstone. He then flung Darby Allin up from the tombstone position into a snake eyes right on the turnbuckle and then delivered a clothesline right to the back of the neck. Darby Allin was out. 1, 2, 3. Luchasaurus retains the TNT Championship in a great match. Right outcome. Darby Allin does not need to become a 3-time TNT champion. Darby Allin is much more valuable fighting for the International Championship and or the World Championship. Matter of fact, if you ask me, Darby Allin and Jon Moxley for the International Championship, that is a money match right there. But this was a great match, and Luchasaurus needed to retain because Luchasaurus and Christian Cage are doing God's work right now with the TNT Championship. Very, 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 very good stuff. Very good stuff, to say the least. We got ourselves Christian Cage actually continue to attack. He continued to attack Darby Allin, and he threatened to give Darby Allin a concerto before the locker room actually emptied out. The locker room emptied out, and Darby Allin was saved from getting a concerto. Now, if you guys watch Dynamite, you would see that Christian Cage, he's actually trying to manipulate Nick Wayne into learning from him. He wants to take Nick Wayne under his wing, and he wants Nick Wayne to leave Darby Allin in the dust. I don't know about you guys, but I wouldn't be surprised if we do get a heel turn by Nick Wayne. I think that would probably be the best thing for him. I mean, he's 18 years old. If you're going to learn from one of the best in Christian Cage. I would not mind that whatsoever. And it should make for an interesting program with Nick Wayne and Darby Allin. So I would not mind it whatsoever. Luchasaurus retains the TNT title just like he needed to. Powerhouse Hobbs. He took on Miro. And crowd was very, very hyped for Miro. I was actually very much looking forward to this match. These guys didn't really get too much of a build. I liked their back and forth. Their back and forth on Collision wasn't half bad. I was actually looking forward to this match because I really wanted to see what Hobbs and Miro would produce. And in the end, these guys ended up delivering probably one of the most entertaining matches of the weekend, combined with the fact that the crowd was probably the best that they've been all night. The crowd was probably the one deciding factor that made this match. It was just all over the place. It was a wild crowd. And they were channeling their inner Big E. So the crowd was hyped for Miro. Neither man would go down. They were trading lariat after lariat after lariat. Hobbs with a big lariat. Miro finally went down. Miro then with a spin kick on Hobbs. That got a 2 count. Hobbs then with a belly-to-belly and a nice exploder suplex. Miro then decided to get a little creative, and he did a cannonball off the apron on Hobbs to the floor. And then after he did that, the crowd was chanting, "Slap that meat." You heard me correctly. The crowd was chanting, "Slap that meat." And that wasn't even the craziest thing that they were chanting during this match. So they were going back and forth. Hobbs tried to slow the pace down. Hobbs and Miro then traded blows back and forth, one after the other after the other. And with every blow that they traded, I was laughing my ass off here. With every blow that they traded, the crowd was going, "Meat, meat, meat, meat." I didn't know what I was watching, but I was enjoying the fuck out of it. So finally, both men were down. Fans started chanting, "This is meaty. This is meaty," they were chanting. Unbelievable. So we had Miro going up to the top with Hobbs. He delivered a massive superplex, hyped himself up, and delivered a major super kick. He went for a second super kick, but he missed, and Powerhouse Hobbs delivered a very nice power slam to him. The crowd then started chanting, "Meat forever. Meat forever." I mean, I guess that we're going to be getting a new mode coming in AEW Fight Forever very, very soon called Meat Forever. Unbelievable. Chicago, you are wild. So we had a big lariat by Miro. He hit another super kick, but Hobbs was able to kick out. Miro then went for the game over. He locked it in, but Hobbs powered out of it. Hobbs then with the last will and testament spine buster. I thought Hobbs was going to get it there. Miro kicked out again. Miro then with the spine buster locked in the game over. It was locked in deep, and that was it. Powerhouse Hobbs taps out to the game over by Miro, and we got ourselves a very good match between these two. Probably the most underrated match of the night, if you ask me. Crowd made it 10 times better, and this was probably the best match that Powerhouse Hobbs has had in AEW to date. So much so that I would not mind if we run it back. I would not mind if we run it back, and I would not mind if we get a second match with Powerhouse Hobbs and Miro. Matter of fact, if you want to make it a stipulation match, if you want to make it a no DQ match, give me a no DQ match. Give me a no DQ match. These two really brought out the best in each other. Very, very, very good match. Easily the most underrated match of the night. Easily Powerhouse Hobbs' best match in AEW to date. And you got to give Hobbs credit. He has really come a long way. Hobbs has really come a long way as a very, very solid mid-card act in AEW. And I'm very much looking forward to seeing what Hobbs does in the coming years in AEW. He's got a very nice thing going for himself. So afterwards, Hobbs, with a fake sign of sportsmanship, he went for the bro handshake, the arm wrestle handshake. He faked Miro out, attacked him. All of a sudden, CJ Perry, formerly known as Lana, Miro's hot and flexible wife, came out to save Miro. She hit Hobbs in the back with a chair. Hobbs was not happy. Miro then hit Hobbs with a chair, sent him out of the ring. He stared at his wife and then walked away screaming, "You're not real," because he has forsaken his hot and flexible wife. Although I'm not really sure why he would forsaken Lana. I mean, if she really is that hot and flexible, why would you forsaken her? But in the end, this is all playing up to a story. And if anything, I would not be surprised in any way, shape, or form if we see CJ Perry build Miro back up to prominence. And we could potentially see CJ Perry lead Miro back to gold. Maybe Miro is the one to beat Luchasaurus for the TNT Championship. Who knows? Maybe he fights Jon Moxley. Maybe he fights Moxley for the AEW International Championship. Maybe he's a challenger for MJF. There's a lot of different routes that you can go with Miro. Miro's a very versatile guy. You put him in something, he'll make it work. He made this thing with Hobbs work. So we'll see what happens. But Miro and Hobbs, a very good match. We got a surprise debut by CJ Perry, and it looks like CJ Perry is looking to lead Miro back to prominence here in AEW. But she is going to have to break Miro's mentality because Miro has forsaken her. But we got a very good match. Very good match, to say the least. Chris Statlander and Ruby Soho. This was for the TBS Championship, and this was kind of thrown together last minute. This was kind of tossed in there very, very late. Really no build. But I was looking forward to this because Ruby Soho and Chris Statlander, they have very, very, very good matches. Matter of fact, Ruby Soho has perhaps been Chris Statlander's best opponent in AEW, minus that match with Britt Baker at All Out 2021. Statlander and Britt Baker, they had a great match for the AEW Women's World Championship. That was awesome. That was excellent. But Ruby Soho and Chris Statlander, they've always had good chemistry. I don't know what it is, but they've had very, very, very solid matches, and this one was no different. Minus the ending. The ending was kind of wonky. I don't understand why they went with the ending that they went with, but regardless, this was a very good women's match, and they picked the right two women to be on the main show. And Chris Statlander, she is doing very well for herself. As a matter of fact, you could say that she's really becoming the workhorse of the AEW women's division. And if there's one woman that deserves it, it's her. She has gone through a ton of bullshit, a lot of stop and start pushes. Most of the time, it's been because of injury. She spent 10 months out with the first injury. She spent 9 months out with the second injury. So in the end, Chris Statlander, she has waited a long, long time to get this opportunity. She's finally gotten this opportunity, and she has taken the ball. She's running with it. And it looks like they're trying to, I don't want to make comparisons, but it looks like they're trying to make her the female Orange Cassidy in the sense. They're trying to make her what Orange Cassidy was with the International Championship, obviously before he lost it to Jon Moxley. Now, I appreciate that, but I would like some more story with Kris Statlander. But Kris Statlander, she's the workhorse of the women's division right now. I have no issue with it. Kris Statlander's great. And so was this match. So Statlander, she was using her power early on. Soho came back with a drop kick off the apron. I love that drop kick. Ruby Soho has a very nice drop kick off the apron. Statlander was then sent head first into the barricade. Soho took over. Statlander came back with a very nice roundhouse kick, and you heard a nice pop. You heard a nice pop with Statlander's roundhouse kick. Very nicely done. We then had Statlander mounting a comeback, and Statlander actually delivered a no future to Ruby. She then delivered a nice running knee and a ripcord power slam. That got a 2. Ruby Soho then with a Saito suplex and a nice spinning backbreaker and a Michinoku driver by Statlander. That got a 2. So both women traded roll-ups back and forth. We had a double cross body. Both women were down. Statlander with an avalanche power slam from the middle rope. That got a 2. Ruby Soho then took over, delivered a Poison Rana on Kris Statlander. Very nicely done. Poison Rana, slingshot DDT, and a beautiful spike Rana. That got a 1, 2, and a kick out by Statlander at the last minute. Very nicely done. Statlander then with a Blue Thunder Bomb. Ruby Soho kicked out. Ruby Soho delivered no future from the top. She then hit the Destination Unknown. I'm not lying. I actually thought that that was going to be it. Off the Destination Unknown, and Kris Statlander kicks out. Kris Statlander kicks out of the Destination Unknown. Very, very, very close near fall. Toni Storm, all of a sudden, came out of nowhere. She came from underneath the ring, and Saraya was going to give Ruby Soho the spray paint can, and Toni Storm took the spray paint out of Ruby Soho's hand and sprayed it into the air and looked into the air like she was some deranged mental patient. I don't know what this was. I don't know if they're trying to make Toni Storm go into this fit of rage or a fit of insanity because she lost the women's championship. But listen, if you want to go with a character change for Toni, I don't mind, but that shit right there, that was fucking ridiculous. She looks stupid. She looks stupid. Ruby looks stupid. Saraya looks stupid. The whole entire thing looks stupid. In a championship match, nonetheless. But in the end, Statlander then hit the Sunday Night Fever, and Statlander retains the TBS Championship in a very good match, minus that ending. I don't know what they were thinking with Toni Storm, but in the end, it was a very good match, a very good women's match, and Statlander is doing some really solid material right now. So I did not have an issue with Statlander retaining. Statlander deserves a solid, and I mean a solid and a strong championship reign. She should not be losing that championship until she peaks 200 days. She should not be losing that championship until at least Revolution next year. So Statlander retains the TBS championship like she should, and Statlander is moving on. I'm assuming she's going to fight someone else. I'm not really sure who. Maybe we see Statlander and Baker reignite their rivalry. Maybe we see Statlander and Baker for the TBS championship. That would be interesting. Maybe we see Statlander and Sheeta. Maybe we see Statlander and Willow Nightingale. There's a lot of women that you can place in there. We'll see what happens. But Statlander retains, as she should. Bryan Danielson and Ricky Starks This was a strap match. Ricky Starks, he was initially supposed to fight CM Punk at AEW All Out for the Real World Championship in the main event. That did not happen. That did not happen because of what CM Punk did at AEW All In. And Tony Khan had no choice but to fire him. And I don't blame Tony Khan. Bryan Danielson, I would say he is more than a suitable replacement for CM Punk. Bryan Danielson is easily the type of guy that you build a brand around. And I was very, very pleased to see what we got as the final product for this strap match. And this was probably Ricky Starks' best match ever. This was probably Ricky Starks' best match in AEW, period. And it's because of Bryan Danielson. So Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, he was on commentary, and Bryan Danielson came out with the final countdown. And I'm assuming, considering that CM Punk's contract, which was about $5 to $6 million, considering CM Punk's contract was terminated, I'm assuming Tony Khan has a lot of money that he can spend with the final countdown for Bryan Danielson. So it's great to see the final countdown for Bryan Danielson here at All Out. So Starks did not waste any time. Starks went right on the attack. Starks went right on the attack of Bryan Danielson right out of the gate. Starks whipped Bryan. He whipped Bryan with the weight belt. Whipped Bryan with the weight belt. Looked brutal. Bryan was bleeding. Bryan was bleeding from the whole right side of his face, and it was going into the left side. I think he had a laceration right over here at the top of his head, and all the blood was just pouring into his face. It looked brutal. So Starks kept the pressure on. It got brutal really quick, by the way. Bryan then with some kicks to the chest. Starks shut down his momentum and whipped Bryan Danielson with the strap in the face. And might I remind you, this was a thick-ass strap. This was a thick one. That's what she said. Thick strap. So Bryan, he caught a lot of nasty blows. He whipped Bryan with the strap in the face. Ricky was then hung in the Tree of Woe position, and Bryan Danielson whipped him over and over and over again. It was becoming it was becoming very, very hard to watch. So right then and there, if I was in a Tree of Woe position getting whipped with a strap that thick, I probably would have quit right then and there. We had a drop kick in the Tree of Woe position. Starks then whipped Bryan with the strap again in the face. Bryan then whipped Starks around the post. Starks was bleeding too. Bryan then whipped Starks in the back over and over again. Some more kicks. Lariat by Starks, turning Bryan inside out. So both men were then whipping each other in the face. It was one after the other after the other. Starks hits Bryan in the face. Bryan hits Starks in the face. 1, 2, 3, 4. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. I was shocked that we didn't hear about either of these guys popping an eardrum. Starks then gained the advantage. Bryan hyped himself up, and all of a sudden, Big Bill came out to aid Ricky Starks, and then Ricky the Dragon Steamboat came in, took out Big Bill. Big Bill goozled Ricky Steamboat, and then Bryan sent Ricky Starks over the top rope into Big Bill. Starks then was standing right next to Big Bill, and Bryan dove off the top with a crossbody onto both men. Starks then with a spear, Bryan kicked out. Bryan with the Busaiku knee, but Starks kicked out. All of a sudden, we had a stomp to the neck by Bryan Danielson on Ricky Starks. He then locked in the label lock with the strap wrapped around Ricky Starks' neck. And Ricky Starks, you could see him slowly, and then he just passed out. Ricky Starks did not say, "I quit." Ricky Starks passed out. Absolutely brutal. If anything, this may have been just as brutal as the Stadium Stampede that we got at All In. And there was only one weapon used in this match. The only weapon used in this match was the strap. And yet this was somehow just as brutal as Stadium Stampede. Absolutely fantastic. And if you were to tell me that this was your match of the night, I would not look at you weird. I would not look at you weird whatsoever. This was fantastic. Fantastic in every sense of the word. And if anything, I'm going to go out on a limb and say this. Bryan Danielson made Ricky Starks. It doesn't matter what happens for the rest of Ricky Starks' career, Ricky Starks was made. This strap match being as brutal as it was, Bryan Danielson coming back, and he even said on the post-media scrum that his broken arm isn't even fully healed yet. It isn't even fully healed yet, and he was very, very strategic when using the arm that had surgery done on it. If Bryan came back and delivered a match this good, can you imagine what he's going to do when he gets back to 100%? He came in there, threw Ricky Starks and this feud on his back, and he made Ricky Starks into a star. Ricky Starks has had one hell of a year, and this right here, this will be a career highlight for Ricky Starks. With this strap match, he did not submit. He passed out. That right there, even in defeat, made Ricky Starks look like a badass. No matter what happens for the rest of his AEW run, because of this match, Ricky Starks is a made man thanks to Bryan Danielson. It's a great thing to see. It really is a great thing to see. Now, where do we go from here? I don't know. I'm not sure where we go with Starks. I mean, we could very well get something intriguing with Ricky Starks. We could very well see Ricky Starks continue the feud with Bryan. Maybe Ricky Starks, he goes after MJF again at some point. Maybe he feuds with Miro. I wouldn't mind Ricky Starks versus Miro. That's an intriguing feud. It would be interesting to see how they work together. Maybe he gets Team Taz back together with Powerhouse Hobbs. Who knows? Ricky Starks is a little bit of an odd one. Ricky Starks is a little bit of an odd one. I can't really predict where he goes. Bryan, if you ask me, has more options than Ricky Starks. Aside from continuing this feud with Ricky Starks, Bryan has two major options. It was rumored that the plan going into All In for Bryan Danielson, if he did not get injured, was Kenny Omega. Now, we could not get that. I'm sure that we'll get Kenny Omega in a major matchup at next year's All In. But we could not get Bryan Danielson and Kenny Omega at this year's All In. Now, with Wrestle Dream coming up on October 1st to honor the life and legacy of Antonio Inoki, I don't know, that it being in Bryan Danielson's home state of Washington, I would say a match with Kenny Omega sounds rather intriguing, if you ask me. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there. Or, if you want to go with another crazy dream match for Bryan in Seattle, I would not be opposed if Will Ospreay came back from New Japan, because I know for a fact, I know that there's going to be New Japan stars on this show. I would not be opposed if Will Ospreay fought Bryan Danielson at Wrestle Dream in Seattle. Bryan Danielson has got some options to go into Wrestle Dream, and the top two, Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay. Kenny Omega would be more of an obvious route because Omega and Bryan was supposed to take place at All In this year. But if you ask me, I'm actually a little bit more intrigued with the Will Ospreay match because Bryan Danielson, he doesn't care if he wins, he doesn't care if he loses. If you can imagine that crowd in Bryan's home state going up against Will Ospreay would be the biggest heel of the night if he were to beat Bryan in his hometown. And not only that, Will Ospreay would add on top of his already impressive resume. Imagine if he is able to say in the year 2023, he beat Kenny Omega, Kazuchika Okada, Chris Jericho, and Bryan Danielson. I'm just throwing it out there. Will Ospreay and Bryan sounds very, very intriguing. I'm going to keep you guys updated on that, but it's either Omega or Ospreay. I don't know where else Bryan would go going into Wrestle Dream. It's either Omega or Ospreay. From there, we go into a tag team match. Tag team match with Katsuyori Shibata, the Ring of Honor Pure Champion, and Eddie Kingston. They took on the Blackpool Combat Club of Wheeler Yuta and the Ring of Honor World Champion, Claudio Castagnoli. This was a very good tag team match. This was kind of used as, I don't want to say a come-down match, because it was a very good match and the crowd was lively for it, because the crowd, they love and they appreciate all four of these guys. But it was kind of used as a bit of a come-down match before we got into Omega and Takeshita. Now, that didn't mean it was a bad match. It was very good, but you could kind of feel that this was more of a setup match. This honestly feels like a setup match for what is to come at Grand Slam. I know people are probably going to complain about Ring of Honor being on AEW television, but how great would it be if Eddie Kingston beat Claudio for the Ring of Honor World Championship in Eddie Kingston's home area of New York? I'd say that would be pretty damn good. I'd say that would be a moment that Eddie Kingston would treasure forever. That's the route that I would go personally. So Kingston, he was actually wearing a tribute to Terry Funk. Kingston was wearing a Claudio Sucks Eggs t-shirt. I laughed. So Kingston, he was isolated. Claudio, he slowed the pace down. We had a running boot by Shibata, and Shibata actually got the tag. Shibata, then with a hesitation drop kick. We had some triangle locks by Shibata, and Claudio was in a submission hold. Claudio powered up Shibata in a one-armed powerbomb to break up the pin. He tagged in Yuta. They hit the rocket launcher splash. Shibata saved it. So Shibata was able to kick out. Shibata then with an ankle lock, and then he locked in an inverted leg lock on Yuta. So it was a double submission at the same time. Tagged to Eddie Kingston. He had a DDT on Wheeler Yuta. Rapid fire Koba Kobashi chops. We then had a PK and a Saito suplex combination on Yuta. Claudio saved it. All four men were down. Shibata was then taken out. We had an enziguri on Yuta. A rebound German suplex on Eddie Kingston by Yuta. That got a 2. Kingston and Claudio went at it for a little bit. Clearly, you can tell that this is the match that the crowd wants to see. We had some rapid elbow strikes. We had a gotch neutralizer. That got a 2. Eddie Kingston with the Orakin and a big brain buster on Claudio. It looked like he was finally going to get that major win over Claudio, but Yuta saved it. Shibata then with a sleeper suplex on Yuta. Locked in a sleeper on Yuta against the ropes. Kingston went for Claudio while Shibata had Yuta in a sleeper hold, and Shibata did not see it, but Claudio out of nowhere with a wicked uppercut right to Eddie Kingston, and he knocked Eddie Kingston out with the uppercut. Shibata could not get there in time, and Shibata and Kingston lose with Claudio getting the pin. And I see we got Greek Savage watching us on Facebook. Hope you're doing all right. And I hope that the Party with Marty podcast recording went very well. Looking forward to seeing the next installment of the Party with Marty podcast. And I'm looking forward to seeing you at 90s WrestleCon as well. Talking about a great show that we got on Sunday. It's always great when AEW goes on pay-per-view. But in the end, a very good tag team match. And I was kind of shocked that Claudio and Shibata lost, but I kind of wasn't, because Claudio has kind of been getting the better of Kingston for how many matches now? And in the end, the story here is Kingston finally getting that one over on Claudio. Kingston's obviously going to be the one to beat Claudio for the world title. There's nobody else. There is nobody else that is the picture-perfect candidate to beat Claudio for the Ring of Honor World Championship other than Eddie Kingston. Kingston beat Yuta on Dynamite. So if Claudio and Yuta get their win back here, I don't mind it, because it's ultimately going to lead to the bigger picture of Claudio and Eddie probably at Grand Slam for the Ring of Honor World Championship, and Eddie will finally win a World Championship for the first time in his career. So I didn't mind it. Claudio continues to get the upper hand on Eddie, and this was a very good match. Very good match overall, and the Blackpool Combat Club get the win. It was a very good day for the Blackpool Combat Club at All Out. It was a very good day. Kenny Omega versus Konosuke Takeshita. Kenny Omega and Konosuke Takeshita. If I was to describe this match to you in one word, it would be, matter of fact, 2 words. If I was to describe to you this match in 2 words, it would be professional wrestling. This match embodied everything that professional wrestling should be about. This match was fantastic. And it had a shocking, but yet not so shocking of an outcome. And we'll talk about that when we get to the end here. But Takeshita and Don Callis getting booed out of the building like we expected them to. Kenny Omega came out with Golden Lovers inspired gear. So that was a nice throwback by Mr. Kenneth Omega. So Takeshita, this was brutal right here. I don't know how Omega got up after this, but Takeshita with a nasty back suplex. And I understand that this was an accident, but holy shit, this was rough. A very, very, very rough back suplex, and I swear to God, Kenny Omega landed right on the top of his head. I do not know how Kenny Omega is not paralyzed right now. That right there made me gasp. I legit thought Takeshita legitimately killed Omega. That was rough to watch. Thank Christ he got back up. Thank Christ he got back up. I think that Omega might want to get checked out after that. So after that, everyone was scared for Kenny's life, but after he continued, we kind of all breathed a collective sigh of relief. Okay, he's okay. He can continue the match. So Omega, he hit the You Can't Escape moonsault off of the barricade, which looked very nice. We had a Kotaro Crusher by Omega in the ring, and the dunk. Takeshita then came out of nowhere with a beautiful flying lariat. That's probably one of my favorite moves from Takeshita right there. That flying lariat. It looks beautiful. Takeshita then with a sheer drop brainbuster on the floor to Omega. Yeah, that's not going to help Omega's neck, Takeshita. Takeshita then brought out a bunch of steel chairs, and Paul Turner was telling him off. Don Callis then put the chairs on Kenny Omega behind the referee's back, and Takeshita then with a senton over the top onto the chairs, onto Omega, which looked nasty. In the ring, Takeshita with a beautiful blue thunder bomb, that got a 2. We had a senton from the top, but Kenny Omega got the knees up. Omega then mounted a comeback with a beautiful tope con hero, missile drop kick to the back, 2 snapdragon suplexes, and a Poison Rana. Poison Rana on the money. Takeshita kicks out. So we had both men going counter for counter, strike for strike, a huge lariat turning Omega inside out. Omega then with a power bomb and a V trigger. and Takeshita kicked out. Omega with another V-trigger. Takeshita caught Omega in a cradle tombstone. That got a 2. Takeshita with a beautiful bridging German. Omega kicked out again. Takeshita and Omega were up on the top, and this, probably one of my favorite spots of the entire night, we had Takeshita delivering an avalanche Blue Thunder bomb off of the top, and Kenny Omega crashed in a heap. And Omega kicked out yet again. Callis then tried to get the screwdriver, and he tried to stab Omega in the head. Callis went to stab Omega in the head with the screwdriver, but he missed, and the screwdriver was just sticking out of the ring. So after that, we had Omega going after Takeshita yet again. We had a V-trigger connecting. Takeshita went to stab Omega with the screwdriver, but the referee caught him. Paul Turner caught him. We had a German suplex and a punt knee by Takeshita. Takeshita still took advantage anyway, and Omega kicked out. Takeshita then said, all right, fuck this. He exposed the knee and delivered one of the most brutal-looking V-triggers I've ever seen, right under the chin to Omega. 1, 2, 3, and Konosuke Takeshita gets the victory over Kenny Omega clean. Yes, clean. The screwdriver did not come into play. The screwdriver was not used. Don Callis did not lay a hand on Kenny Omega. Konosuke Takeshita beat Kenny Omega clean. And not only that, you want to talk about a star being made? Konosuke was made. Konosuke was made at All In. He pinned Kenny Omega in front of over 81,000 people. But now he pins Omega clean in a singles match a week later. You want to talk about superstar making moments. That was a superstar making moment right there. I'm telling you right now, we could very well be on the verge of one hell of a international title with Takeshita. I'm telling you, whenever Takeshita gets a championship, it is going to be a very special time because Takeshita is fucking unbelievable at what he does. Excellent match. Easily my match of the night. And Takeshita, after this night, after pinning Kenny Omega twice within a week, Konosuke Takeshita is a made man. Konosuke Takeshita is a made man, and I could not be happier for Takeshita. I really cannot be happier for Takeshita. What a moment. What a moment for Takeshita. Awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Where do we go from here? I don't know. Don Callis says he's going to reveal his next masterpiece. Is Konosuke Takeshita going after a championship? I don't know. Is Konosuke Takeshita potentially going after Bryan Danielson? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see, but Konosuke Takeshita, maybe he fights Jericho. Maybe he fights Jericho. I wouldn't mind that. Jericho and Takeshita sounds like a very intriguing matchup. We'll have to wait and see, but absolutely the right outcome. I didn't think that they were going to give it to him. I did not think that they were going to give Takeshita the win. I thought that since Takeshita won it All In, Omega was going to win here, and then Takeshita was going to ultimately get the victory over Omega in their third encounter. But no, they decided to give both wins to Takeshita, and I don't mind it whatsoever. Kenny Omega has been a pretty generous guy as of lately. Kenny Omega has really been giving back to a lot of people. He put over the House of Black at Revolution. He was pinned by Wheeler Yuta at Double or Nothing. He helped put over the Blackpool Combat Club. He helped put over Takeshita twice. He put over Will Ospreay. Kenny Omega's giving back, and I appreciate that. It goes to show you that Kenny Omega, he knows where he lies. Kenny Omega is a made man right now. Kenny Omega is not in a position where he's going to be winning championships and getting major victories on a consistent basis. When he gets a major victory, he gets a major victory. But Kenny Omega right now, Kenny Omega is all about helping the younger generation. And I respect that. That is something that you need to appreciate about Kenny Omega. He knows the business and he knows how to help make new stars. And that is to be respected. Joe Panther Variety Show, thank you very much for stopping by. I hope that you are having a wonderful night, and I hope that you are enjoying the stream. We are going to get into the 8-man tag team match between Young Bucks, FTR, and Bullet Club Gold in just a little bit. So let me take a sip of my water here. Just a little announcement. We got two major events coming up at the end of the month. We got ISPW's 25-year anniversary. 25-year anniversary. And they will be taking over the Totowa PAL in Totowa, New Jersey on Friday, September 29th, 2023, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time, ISPW 25-year anniversary. We will have the ISPW World Heavyweight Champion Richard Holiday. He will be taking on the superstar Danny Morrison. We also got Ray Calitri. He is defending the ISPW Tri-State title against Crowbar. And that is going to be one hell of a match. Cannot wait to see that. We also got ourselves Bull James and Alpha Jr. in a dog collar match. And the Phoenix GKM taking on the Messiah of old school, Sean Donovan, in a high-intensity grudge match. Sean Donovan is actually the man that trained GKM. That's taking place on Friday, September 29th, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time, Totowa PAL, Totowa, New Jersey. And then the following day is 90s WrestleCon in the Rockaway Mall in Rockaway, New Jersey from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. I got me a table over there, and hopefully if they got Wi-Fi, I'm going to be doing a live lightning flash update from 90s WrestleCon right here on X, on Facebook, on Twitch, and on YouTube, and the PWP Nation Facebook page as well. So if you guys are going to be there, please come say hi to me. I'm going to be there. The whole crew's going to be there. It's going to be a fun time. I know I'll be seeing Wrestling with Savage over there as well. Everyone's going to be out there. We got Kevin Nash. We got the Dudley Boys coming out there. We got Duke the Dumpster Drozy. We got Jacqueline. We got the superstar Danny Morrison. Crowbar's going to be there. Plenty. The Nasty Boys. Plenty of 90 stars. I believe Tommy Dreamer's going to be there too. Tommy Dreamer's going to be there too. It's going to be a fun con, to say the least. We also got a cosplay contest as well. So I would appreciate if you guys come on in and come on down to Rockaway Mall for 90s WrestleCon on September 30th. And then on top of that, I am going to be placing a new order for DJ Storm's t-shirts. Hopefully I'll be placing that order over the weekend. So if you guys want a t-shirt, you can either pay me cash, you can meet me at 90s WrestleCon, pay me cash, or you can send me money over Venmo. Send me money over Venmo, and I will give you the t-shirt. I will mail you the t-shirt ASAP. Definitely something that I would highly encourage. If you guys want to be an elite posse member, get yourselves the official DJ Storms t-shirt. It says, I am inevitable on the back. So if you want to be inevitable, just like me, I would highly encourage that you buy yourself a DJ Storm t-shirt. Sarah Hopka, are you going to buy a DJ Storms t-shirt or not? Create a Venmo and send me 25. Get a DJ Storms t-shirt. If you want a wristband, the wristbands are $2 too. Do you want to be a DJ Storms posse member or don't you? It's bad enough that Hooligram is telling me that he can't create a Venmo. Come on. I need some serious inquiries over here. Anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. You want a t-shirt? Create a Venmo. If you want a wristband, create the Venmo, and you can see the information on X, I posted information on X. Serious inquiries only, please. The co-main event of this show was FTR and the Young Bucks versus Bullet Club Gold. Crowd was lively. Crowd was very, very lively here. So we had some standard double team moves right here from both sides. You're going to start one? You going to start one, Jeremy? You better hurry. It's this weekend. This weekend, I'm placing the order. I'm placing the order this weekend, and it will be on Sunday that I'll be making the order. So give me your shirt size, create the Venmo. If you want a wristband, let me know. You can also get a package deal. The package deal is 1 t-shirt and 4 wristbands for $30. Otherwise, you got to pay $2 for each wristband. So we got some standard tag team moves here from both sides. Some tension started brewing. Some tension started brewing between FTR and the Bucks. Crowd was actually chanting, "Oh, cry me a river." Well, what did Jack Perry say on 0 Hour for All In? There you go. So, Dax Harwood, he was isolated. Cash Wheeler came in, and we had an 8-man brawl. We had a 4-way atomic drop and 4-way sharpshooters. Dax was then isolated again. We had a cannonball by Juice, but he missed. Nick Jackson got the tag. We had a super kick to Austin Gunn. Double takedown on Juice and Colton. Assisted Shiranui on Juice by the Bucks. Drop kick bulldog combination on Juice. Super kicks on Austin, but Colton saved it. Tag to Cash. Super kicks to Colton by Cash and Matt. DDT by Dax on Austin. Mindbreaker, and it was by Matt Jackson and Dax Harwood. So there was some cohesion between the Bucks and FTR. They were coexisting. We had a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful sequence right here. Dax with a superplex on Austin. Cash came off the top with a splash. Matt came off the top with an elbow. Nick came off the top with a 450, one after the other. Beautiful sequence. Dax covered, but Juice Robinson saved it. Everyone started taking out everyone. Matt then dove off the top onto Juice and Colton. The crowd was chanting AEW, AEW. We had Nick Jackson and Dax Harwood delivering a shatter machine. Nick Jackson then with the Escalera on Juice. We had a BTE trigger by Dax and Matt. Colton saved it. All of a sudden, we had a famouser on Matt Jackson on the floor. Cash Wheeler was the legal man. We had a Blade Runner by Jay White on Cash, and Colton pinned Cash Wheeler for the win. 1, 2, 3. Very, very, very fun match, and this was the right outcome, too. You do not want Bullet Club Gold to be taking a loss after they got a major win at All In. And if you want to talk about making new stars, they're making new stars right here. Jay White, Juice Robinson, the Guns, new stars. This was a night of new stars, and it was a wonderful thing to see. Right outcome right here. Bullet Club Gold was always the right team to win, and it looks like, to my calculations, we could very well be getting a rematch from July 15th Collision, and this will be the final match in the trilogy. It will be Bullet Club Gold versus FTR for the AEW World Tag Team Championships. Probably a Grand Slam and or Wrestle Dream. Depends on which way they want to go. I think that it should be a Grand Slam, and we should get Sammy Guevara and Chris Jericho fighting FTR for the tag team titles at Wrestle Dream. They can lose, and that's when we get the full-blown split between Jericho and Sammy. And I do believe that Jericho is going to end up turning on Sammy. That's where my head is at. That's how I would book it. But this was a very fun match, and this was the right outcome, too. A lot of outcomes on this show coming out the right way. It's a great thing to see. The main event. It was Jon Moxley versus Orange Cassidy for the AEW International Championship. And once again, Jon Moxley stepping up and putting All Elite Wrestling on his back. It is a wonderful thing to see, and you got to give props and a lot of respect to Jon Moxley. Jon Moxley is and always will be one of the best signings to AEW ever. I think it's going to be very, 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 very hard for anyone to fill Moxley's boots. Hangman could probably do it. But I don't know. Moxley right now, he is showcasing to everyone that right now, he is absolutely irreplaceable. He is just on another level right now, Jon Moxley. He's on another level, and he is to be respected. So, this was the main event for the AEW International Championship. Moxley uncorked a right hand on Orange Cassidy. Absolutely brutal. Uncorked his right hand on Orange Cassidy. Boom. Uncorked the right hand. He went right after him. No time to react. Cassidy came in with a drop kick. We actually had a Stun Dog Millionaire and a Tope Suicida. Moxley then with an X-Plex. Moxley then bashed Orange Cassidy's head on the announce table, and Cassidy was bleeding like a stuck pig. He actually had, it was an amazing sight. The left half of his face was completely fine. The right half of his face was drenched in blood. It was like I was watching The Dark Knight. It was like I was watching Two-Face. Unbelievable. Awesome, awesome, awesome stuff right there. So Moxley just kept on pouring on the aggression. Pile driver in the ring for a 2. Both men were on the top rope. Cassidy then raked Moxley's back. He raked Moxley's back, similar to what Moxley does to his opponents. Cassidy with a diving DDT and then a satellite DDT, my favorite version of the DDT, for a 2 count. We had Moxley getting caught with a PK in tribute to Katsuyori Shibata, and then an orange punch on the money. Moxley kicked out. Moxley then with a Gotch-style pile driver. Cassidy got out of it. We had a bulldog choke by Moxley. A bulldog choke. Cassidy got out of it again. Cassidy was then put in the label lock. Cassidy would not pass out. Cassidy got his foot on the rope. Moxley then ripped up the mat on the floor, exposing the concrete. And Moxley ended up tasting the concrete as Orange Cassidy delivered beach break to Jon Moxley on the concrete. He then drop kicked Moxley's head into the steel steps. Back in the ring, Moxley just barely beat the count. We had an orange punch, a second one. Cassidy went for a third one. Moxley countered into a cutter. He got him into a cutter. Cassidy then with another orange punch and then a spear in tribute to Roman Reigns, Jon Moxley's old partner in the Shield, and Jon Moxley kicked out. Cassidy then with the light kicks, and then he did the heavy kicks. Cassidy then was hit with a King Kong lariat, and Cassidy kicked out. Afterwards, Moxley said, all right, fuck this, I'm ending it. Death Rider, 1, 2, Cassidy barely popped the shoulder up. Cassidy then got up again, and he flipped off Jon Moxley. Defiant to the end is Orange Cassidy. Moxley with a high-angle Death Rider, and Moxley wins the International Championship in an excellent match, a match that lived up to the hype, a first-time ever match that will go down as one of the most important main events in AEW history. And do you know why? Because even in defeat, if he wasn't already made before this, if he wasn't already made with all the other title defenses that he had, if he wasn't already made with 326 days and 32 title defenses, he is made now. If you are not on board with Orange Cassidy right now, you should not be talking about professional wrestling. You shouldn't. After everything that he has gone through and every ounce of effort that he has put in to make the international championship mean something, 326 days, 32 title defenses, this main event with Jon Moxley, if this main event did one thing, it proved to everyone that Orange Cassidy is and always will be a main event player. Orange Cassidy has risen to new heights, and he may very well be the best homegrown star that AEW has ever produced, minus MJF. And it is a wonderful thing to see. Even in defeat, after he got beaten down by Jon Moxley, he stood up, he got a standing ovation, and the crowd was chanting, "Thank you, Orange." That just made his career. That moment will live forever in the mind of Orange Cassidy. And you know where Orange Cassidy is going next? The World Championship. He's going to hold it one day. Some people were saying that Orange Cassidy should have won this. You know, this match could have honestly had swung either way. I would have been okay with either, but I did not mind Jon Moxley winning this. Number one, Moxley's great. Moxley makes anything that he does feel important and prestigious, number one. Number two, why would you have Cassidy beat Moxley after going through all that if Orange Cassidy is beaten, battered, and bruised, and he's going up against Jon Moxley, who is easily one of the best pro wrestlers in the world, one of the best pro wrestlers of our generation? Why would you even contemplate Cassidy beating Moxley? Because if he beats Moxley, Cassidy would pretty much be unbeatable. Who better to beat Orange Cassidy than Jon Moxley? On top of that, we could very well be on the verge of Jon Moxley and the Blackpool Combat Club fighting the House of Black. What if we get Malachi jumping in there against Jon Moxley? What if we get Malachi in there fighting Jon Moxley for the International Championship? Now, that would be something special. That would be intriguing. On top of that, you don't think there's going to be a second match? At some point, they're going to tell the story of Orange Cassidy beating Jon Moxley. Cassidy will beat Jon Moxley sooner rather than later because just like Omega, Jon Moxley helps get others over. And Cassidy, you're going to need challengers for MJF. You're going to need challengers for MJF. What do you think MJF is going to do after he gets done with Joe? After he gets done with Adam Cole? You're going to need challengers. Orange Cassidy's a challenger. You don't think that Orange Cassidy is going to be main eventing an AEW pay-per-view again for a world title? Of course he is. If you are not on board with Orange Cassidy right now, I don't think you should be associated with pro wrestling whatsoever. You shouldn't. You really shouldn't. Orange Cassidy is a main event player then, now, and forever, and you will acknowledge that. And yes, Orange Cassidy's international title reign coming out of WrestleMania, it was better than Roman Reigns' title reign. This was one of the most important shows in AEW history, and they delivered big time. They delivered big time, and it was a wonderful thing to see. And I can't wait for Wrestle Dream. I'm literally foaming at the mouth for Wrestle Dream. Cannot wait for Wrestle Dream. It's going to be great. It's going to be a very, very, very fun fall season. And All Out capped off what was AEW's best summer period ever. With the shows that they put on, with Double or Nothing, Forbidden Door, Blood and Guts, Death Before Dishonor, All In and All Out. An excellent summer period for AEW. And it will go down in the record books as a very, very, very fun summer season overall for the company. That's all I got. That is all I got. We are going to wrap it up right now. That has been the rewind for AEW All Out 2023. I'd like to thank each and every single one of you who tuned into this stream. Do not forget to like. Do not forget to comment. Do not forget to subscribe. It is very vital that you do so. Like, comment, and subscribe. Check out all of those links in the description. Be ready for ISPW 25-year anniversary. 90s WrestleCon in the Rockaway Mall. And you guys want to be an Elite Posse member, hit me up on Venmo, on Twitter, on Instagram, Facebook, because I'm selling DJ Storms t-shirts and I am getting some more merch over the weekend. I'm placing the order in. So if you guys want a t-shirt, you got to let me know. Give me your t-shirt size so that way I can send it out to you ASAP. Venmo me $25 for the t-shirt. If you want a wristband, they're $2. If you want the package deal, one t-shirt and 4 wristbands, that is $30 altogether. Until then, I am DJ Storms. This has been The Rewind. But before we get out of here, everyone knows what they must do. Everybody knows that they got to answer a very special question. And the question is, who runs the IWC? Let me take a sip of my water. I think everyone already knows who runs the IWC. Who? But DJ motherfucking Storms. Don't you forget it.
'Cause we want retribution. Oh yeah, we want retribution. Oh yeah, we want retribution.